Let's take a deep breath as you settle comfortably into your chair, releasing the stress of the morning. Close your eyes if you're comfortable doing so, and take another nice deep breath as we join our hearts in this quiet time together. Today, our only job is to relax and receive God's good. This is Sunday, our day of rest. But for some of us, it's a day of catch-up. A day to do chores and get ready for next week. These chores will still be waiting for us at home. But for the next few minutes, we can honor a chance to just rest and receive the love of God. As you inhale deeply, feel the freedom to just relax, to be wide open. Many of us have fears, hurts, and dramas that have caused us to be guarded and controlling, even manipulative as we manage our lives. In this moment, I invite you to just stop. Take a breath and receive the fullness of God. Every moment there is good for us. There's a blessing just waiting to be recognized. We are God's beloved children, and this moment is exactly the way it should be. I affirm, I am ready to receive. I am ready to receive all the healing, all the love, all the light, and all the abundance that the divine has for me. I let my guard down and open my mind, my heart, my soul to let God bless and fill me up. What if it could be this easy? Remember that grace is a free gift, and all we have to do is open and be receptive to the wonder of it all. For the next few minutes, I invite you to relax into the silence of this moment and be open to the fullness of God. Let us return to this service in prayer. Divine Spirit, I am worthy of all the blessings you have shared with me today, and I am grateful for this and for so much more. We say thank you, God. Amen.
Morning. After my message last Sunday, Dr. Peter gave me my own camel. I have named him Unity Joe Camel because Unity is the camel I have chosen to water and ride into all that God has for me. So Unity Joe is an apt symbol of that. So we want to display him prominently. Right there. Good morning. It's good to see you all. A few things I want to reiterate from the announcements. We're doing a session of training on meditation after the service today at 12:30. And there are those that expressed to me, I'm interested in leading a meditation. I just don't really know how. So I thought, I can provide some instruction. We did one session, it was during the week, and I thought there were those that might want to attend that weren't able to come during the week. So we're going to do that at 12:30, very brief, 30, 40 minutes tops, very brief. And so please be a part of that. If you're interested in leading meditation, and even if you have led meditation, I would still appreciate you being there. Unity has some excellent material that I think will benefit all of us, so we'd appreciate you joining us for that if you'd like. And also soaking prayer we're going to be doing this coming Wednesday. And if you're not familiar with it, it's a prayer that we spend extended time in prayer for those that are in need of physical healing. If you know someone in chronic pain or illness, please encourage them to come. We would be honored to pray for them. We've had some blessed results already, and we learned some things about how we can improve it. Is Alan here today? Oh, Alan. Oh, good. Alan said the last session, he said, my engineering mind kicked in. I think I can show you a more efficient way to set up the chairs. So please get with me, Alan. I would really be interested in that. Because I had a lot of help last time we did it in 20 minutes, but Alan said he thinks we can even improve on it. So I'm always open to that, right? And if you got any time, Tuesday at 11 a.m., drop by here and help us with the chairs. I would deeply appreciate it. And also, if you're interested in being a soaker, the soakers are those that administer the prayer. The soakees receive the prayer. So if you're interested in being a soaker, join us at 10. We'll have a little orientation. And even if you're already a soaker, if you'd like to come earlier, I'd appreciate it. It's always good if we can get together and kind of center ourselves and prepare for the soaking time. So thank you so much for your attention to that. Last week, we started a series, a two-part series, on the joy of watering camels. And we called last week's session the first hump. Today we shall look at the second hump. on the joy of watering camels. And let me give a recap for those of you who weren't able to join us last week. From the 24th chapter of Genesis, it relates to Abraham decided it was time for his son Isaac to marry. And he commanded his servant to go back to the land where he came from and find a bride for his son Isaac. He said, I don't want any of the girls around here marrying him. I want you to go back to where I came from and find Isaac a wife. And so Abraham's servant swore that he would do that. And so he saddled up several camels in preparation for the journey. And we went through the passage in some detail because I wanted to point out in that passage there were 17 references to camels. And so I was intrigued by that. And there are those that say, well, the passage is about a love story between Isaac and Rebekah. Yeah, whatever. It's about the camels, man. 17 references to camels. That's what it's about. And so we looked at the significance of camels in that passage. And the servant, they were herding their camels that way, and they finally got to where they're going. And the servant prayed, and he said, God, I need direction to find who will be Isaac's wife. I need direction. I don't know who it's going to be. And he said, God, give me a sign. He said, when the women come out to draw water, whoever I ask for a drink, and if they say, here's a drink for you and I'll water your camels as well, then that'll be the sign to me that this is the woman for Isaac. And so let's pick up in Genesis 24 and 17. The servant hurried to meet her and said, please give me a little water from your jar. Drink, my lord, she said, and quickly lowered the jar to her hands and gave him a drink. And she said, after she had given him a drink, she said, I'll draw water for your camels too, until they have had enough to drink. So she quickly emptied her jar into the trough, ran back to the well to draw more water, and drew enough for all his camels. Without saying a word, the man watched her closely to learn whether or not the Lord had made his journey successful. Well, it would seem to be the sign he asked for, right? But we'll look at that in a little more detail. Now, this was no light thing for this lady to offer to water his camels. We know there was at least 2 and probably as many as 6. And we looked last week at the extraordinary camel, the ship of the desert. It can do things no other mammal can do, especially in a harsh desert environment. Where other mammals would literally die, the camel is just another day for him. And he's hanging out and he's thriving in that harsh environment. Can do extraordinary things no other animal can do. But this watering part is very significant because a camel, as we mentioned last week, can drink between 30 to 53 gallons of water at a single setting. 30 to 53 gallons at once. Often in as little as 3 to 10 minutes. Sucks it up, man. And you think about it, this was a time before there were spigots or water hoses. This lady had to take her jar and run back and forth to the well, fill it up, come back, put it in the trough, and keep running, keep booking. So this was not an easy task to water camels to begin with in that day because they were slurping it up. But to make it worse, camels are not known to be polite when you water them. In fact, they're known to spit at you as if you're not going fast enough. Sometimes they even try and bite you. Why would they do that to somebody watering them? Well, as I told you last week, I have a theory. I have not checked it out with any zoologists, but I think I should because it's a fascinating theory. I believe that camels, they have an attitude because they're so good. And they know they're good. And they know no other animal is like them. No other animal can do what they can do. And they look down on everybody else. That's my theory. And they display that when they spit at you when you're getting them water. So as remarkable as they are, they do need attitude adjustments. And that's what's happening. So while this lady is running back and forth, gallons and gallons of water, in the meantime, these critters are spitting at her. Hurry up. Move it. And so it's an unpleasant task all the way around. And I got to thinking about how watering the camel is very reminiscent of what we experience in every phase of our lives. In every human endeavor, there is a time of watering, an unpleasant watering, before you end up riding the thing. Isn't that true? We see that in every part of our lives. But what what Rebecca watered, she ended up riding into a whole new life. But it didn't start out that way. She had to be willing to subject herself to the difficulty of the watering before she ended up riding the sucker. Right, Unity Joe? He may look pleasant to you. He too has an attitude. But I've chosen nonetheless to water and continue on with him. Now, what Rebecca watered, she ended up riding into a whole new life. She found the love of her life, a new family. She found ultimately, children of her own. Extraordinary and wonderful things happened, but she had to water it before she experienced any of that. And it said Rebecca and her attendants got ready and mounted their camels and went back with the man. Ultimately, what she watered, she ended up riding. So what we struggle to water today will convey us to greater things tomorrow. Isn't that true? We see that from the beginning. Remember your first day of school? I remember mine. I was deadly terrified because, there's teachers and they looked mean and like, they weren't going to be patient with me. And kids I didn't know, some nasty kids. And, some of them were nice, some of them were not. And it was a terrifying experience. It is for many children. Many children have what's called separation anxiety. Being away from the parents for the first time is just terrible for them. And it's very emotionally racking for them. And we experienced that from our first day of school. Our first day on the new job, we can be very nervous. It can be very nerve-wracking. Isn't that true? How many have ever entered military service? I mean, remember the first basic training? Was that fun? Probably not. And so all these experiences are reminiscent of what we water and the unpleasant aspects of watering that we deal with, ultimately to ride that camel into a new phase of our lives. Now, I ended by last week urging you to only water the camel that will carry you where you want to go. You don't want to water a camel that's going to take you where you want to go. Ultimately, the camel is a conveyance. It's to get us somewhere fresh and new in our lives. So you don't want to be watering the camel that's not going where you want to go. Isn't that true? And you want to make sure it's your camel to water. As much as I love you, I don't want to water your camel. I just don't, because it's hard enough watering mine. And so we need to know what is our camel to water. And I cautioned you last week, find out what your camel is. And they don't come up and introduce themselves, sadly enough. If they do, watch out. That's a red flag. I'll be your camel for today. Watch out. Don't buy it. They can be deceptive too. But we see, young people wondering, where do I go to college, after high school? Or should I go in the military for a while? Wrestling with this decision. What school should I be a part of? In our career paths, we need to determine what fits us, what is ideal. What is the thing we do that will fulfill us and bless us, make us a blessing to others? What would that be? I remember I heard about a guy, he came from a family of pilots. And all the kids in the family were expected to follow in their father's footsteps and be a pilot. And he was told can't wait till you get to go to flight school and become a pilot. And they did good work, wonderful things. They would go to remote parts of the world that had natural disasters and fly in aid or medical services, to remote places. They did wonderful work. And he was told, you're going to be the pilot. And he dutifully went to flight school, became a pilot, flew several trips. One day he was sitting in his plane. He just kind of hollered at God, I hate being a pilot. And he heard a voice, and he literally heard a voice that said, it never was my idea to begin with. because his family had made him think this is what you have to do because you're a part of our family. But that wasn't his camel to ride. It was a camel imposed upon him. Don't accept that, because you will never be fulfilled in your life if you allow somebody else to choose your camel. So in our careers, we have to you find what fits you, you know? And even after you retire, you still continue in things that fit you, that you can produce good fruit in. I got to tell you, what I do fits me so well. I love it, I love it, I love it. There's nothing in the world I'd rather do, and to me, nobody has a better job than I do. But I know it's my camel to ride. And at times I have to water that sucker, and it can get difficult, but it's still a joy to me. Because ultimately, that's the camel that's carrying me, where I want to be in my life. But we need to know, in our relationships, in our spiritual community, how many know you need to be a part of a spiritual community that fits you? Isn't that true? And I hope you find that this fits you here. But if not, find somewhere that does. If we don't seem to do it for you. Because it can be bad to be a part of a group where you just don't feel like you fit. I was like that when I tried being a part of the Unitarian Universalists. I tried 2.5 years, and I just didn't fit there. And I really tried. And I knew something was amiss because the minister would never ask me to speak. He had all kinds of guest speakers, but never me. And it kind of bugged me. And one day I said, Reverend Sam, if you ever I thought maybe it was my background, Pentecostal background. He thought I'd do something weird. And so I said, listen, if you ever want to have me speak, I promise I won't do anything weird. He said, oh, yeah, I'm going to get you up there. He never did. But that was further evidence to me that wasn't my camel to ride, you see. It wasn't where I fit. You know what I mean? Also in our relationships. How many know not every relationship is something you need to water? It's going to take you where you want to go. Isn't that true? You ever been in a relationship where you knew that camel was not yours? And if you didn't know it right away, you came to pretty quick. This is not my camel. Because this sucker wants water, 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 and it's weird, and it can be right, it can be true, or it may not be. We need to know what relationships will take us where we want to be. And then in business endeavors, I have not done this myself, but I am told one of the worst business endeavors potentially worst business endeavors one can have is a partnership. Because when you align yourself with another person and your vision about what that business is supposed to be changes, that can be very difficult and can even destroy a friendship. We need to know, what is our camel? What is our camel to water? How do I know which is my camel? We need to assess that. Let me give you 3 ways I believe will help us all to know what our camel is. Number 1, the leading of Spirit. The leading of Spirit. And this can come through, like with the servant, through a particular sign. There are things that signify what we're to do, isn't it? That come to us from the universe. And they direct us. But you need to be careful how you find your signs. I knew a guy, his system was this. He would plop his Bible down and then he would put his finger on it. Wherever it opened, that would be his sign. And it never worked out well. He would always land on a passage, woe is you are an unclean man of unclean lips. And Armageddon, and I said, you better give that up, man. That is not working for you. Trying to use the Bible like a Ouija board or any scripture is probably not wise. So, how do we ascertain what signs are valid? Well, let's look again in this passage. Again, the servant hurried to meet her and said, please give me a little water from your jar. Drink, my lord, she said, and she quickly lowered the jar to her hands and gave him a drink. After she'd given him a drink, she said, I'll draw water for your camels too, until they've had enough to drink. So she quickly emptied her jar into the trough, ran back to the well to draw more water, and drew enough for all the camels. Without saying a word, the man watched her closely to learn whether or not the Lord had made his journey successful. Even though he had this sign, he analyzed it. How many know it's good to do that, isn't it? Don't just jump on the sign right away. Okay, that's it. He did something very wise. He said, all right, I got this sign, but I'm going to study this a spell. just to make sure, just to be certain. I know Carol and I had that experience with you people, because the third week of May, we were talking about that we felt God was going to move us somewhere else. At the time, we had no idea where, but we genuinely felt that. And the next week, I got a letter from you saying, actually it was to a lot of people, but I took it for me. And it said, do you know anybody that might be interested in our senior minister position? I thought, this could be my sign here. This is significant. Just last week, I was talking to Carolyn about moving. And so even though I felt like it was a sign, I let it percolate, analyzed it. And we began to communicate. And I said, let's see if we're compatible, like a marriage. Are we compatible enough we can work through, when times get tough or difficult? And ultimately, we determined that we could, didn't we? But even though I had that sign, I had the sense to do what the servant did. I watched closely and analyzed it to make sure. Do that with your sign, isn't that right? Don't just jump on the sign, analyze it for a spell. Which leads us to the second way to know your camel. Second, seek counsel from those of like spirit or interest, especially those who love and care about you. Going back to this passage, again, the servant, I asked her, whose daughter are you? She said, the daughter of Bethuel, the son of Nahor, whom Milcah bore to him. Then I put a ring in her nose. That's nice. And the bracelets on her arms. I bowed down and worshiped the Lord. I praised the Lord, the God of my master Abraham, who led me on the right road to get the granddaughter of my master's brother for his son. And now if you will show kindness and faithfulness to my master, tell me. And if not, tell me, that I may know which way to turn. In other words, I'm looking for your guidance and direction in this matter. I believe I've got a sign, and I believe it's valid, but I need to know what you think. And this is extremely wise to do. From Proverbs 11 and 14, the scripture says, where there is no guidance, people fall. But in an abundance of counselors, there is safety. In the abundance of counselors, there is safety. It's good to consult with many people that love us, care about us, and have our best interests at heart, isn't it? And they run from several sources of these particular counselors. Family can be a good source of this. Not the only source. Because I know early on, when I felt that Spirit was leading me to a particular school to begin to prepare for ministry. And my father, I talked to him about it, and he said he didn't think it was good for me. And he didn't think he could support me to go. And as much as I loved and respected him, I knew it was the right direction for me to take. I honored his counsel, I honored his wisdom, and then I did what I knew I had to do. Ended up going there anyway and called him from there. He said, where are you, son? I said, I'm in Oklahoma. I'm going to go to school here. What, you're going there? I said, I believe it's the right thing for me to do, Dad. And it was. It was exactly what I needed to do. So family can be valuable, but don't make him the ultimate source of direction, okay? Because family, and as much as they love and care about us, they can give us advice that's not so good. Our friends, people that know us, people we trust, people that hear us and they know our flaws. Use them. Make them a source of counsel about what you feel like you need to do. A minister like me. I'm always ready to put in my 2 cents, you know that. And so feel free to avail yourself of me anytime that I can tell you what to do. No, I'm kidding about that. I can tell you what to do. No, I can give you my perspective. And mine is not the only one, but hopefully it could be of value to you. There are people that have life coaches. You're familiar with that concept. They actually hire people, to help them, to find direction in their lives. And this can be very helpful and valid. And then, but in all this, family, friends, ministers, life coaches, whoever you're consulting with, don't fall into the trap of what's called analysis paralysis. You ever met anybody that was afflicted with that? They never actually do the thing. They just spend a lot of time finding out how they could do the thing. And that's not where we want to live, is it? We can analyze to the point where we accomplish nothing. I remember this particular guy. He would show up every few months to tell me the same dilemmas he was having. I would give him the same advice, and he would be back again later and do it all over. And I realized this guy's paralyzed with his analysis. He was never going to do it. So I got to where, I just would tell him the same thing, kind of, sleepily. And he'd go on his way, but boy, this is getting nowhere. I think at some point I actually did say, I told you this last time. But what are you going to do? But you got to be aware of that. But in seeking the abundance of counsel is a very good thing to do. And this further helps enhance what we're feeling, what we're sensing, what may or may not be good. And the third way to know your camel. Ultimately, you got to make your decision being mindful of those who will go with you. Very important about who's going to go with us on a camel ride. Because Rebekah didn't take hers on her own. Again, back to the passage. Laban and Bethuel answered, "This thing is from the Lord. We can say nothing to you one way or the other. Here is Rebekah. Take her and go. Let her become the wife of your master's son, as the Lord has directed." When Abraham's servant heard what they said, he bowed down to the ground before the Lord. Then the servant brought out gold and silver, jewelry, and articles of clothing, and gave them to Rebekah, and also gave costly gifts to her brother and her mother. Then he and the men who were with him ate and drank and spent the night there. When they got up the next morning, he said, "Send me on my way to my master. Time to go." But her brother and her mother replied, "Let the young woman remain with us 10 more days, so that then you may go." In other words, they didn't want to see her go. Let her, just give us 10 more days with her. But he said to them, "Don't detain me now that the Lord has granted success to my journey. Send me on my way that I may go to my master." He said, "We've been through this," didn't he? "I've told you the sign I requested. You've agreed with me. This is the right direction. So don't delay it any further." And they said, "Let's call Rebekah and see what she says." Hey, how come nobody thought of that sooner? So they called Rebekah and asked her, "Will you go with this man?" She said, "I will go." Then Rebekah and her attendants got ready and mounted the camels and went back with the man. So the servant took Rebekah and left. Very important who rides with us, isn't it? Because how many know not everybody's going to want to go where you want to go? You know what I mean? There are those that don't really see the destination that you have identified as being for them. And how many know if you let them, they will detain you unnecessarily? It doesn't mean that we reject them, cast them away, or put them down. I'm not saying that. But we just recognize, listen, this is a destination I've got to go to. If you don't feel inclined, I still love you, and we'll still be friends, but I got to go. Don't let you got to have companions of faith on the journey, what I call companions of faith, where they believe in you and they believe in the same destination and they're going to go with you. Not everybody's going to go with you, but you got to go anyway. Isn't that true? And don't let them keep detaining you like, oh, give us 10 more days. Wait. And before you know it, you miss out. Don't want to do that. So we assess that our relationships, the people that go with us on this camel ride, they have in their heart the same place, the same destination. And they too have experienced the joy of watering and riding that sucker. Isn't that true? It's a great thing. Stand with me if you would. Let's make our affirmation in closing. Repeat after me if you would be so kind this morning. I am going somewhere great in my life. I have spirits leading. I have an abundance of counselors. I have companions of faith. Let's ride. All righty then. You can have your seats right now, though.